make sure. Yes, we are. I don't have Grace's help today, so we're going to have a lot of break-ins, we're going to have a lot of interruptions, and that's how it goes. You know, sometimes I think about like people who are like, I'm too scared to start a YouTube channel because this or that will happen. You just got to start. Because there's never going to be a day where it's quiet in my house. People have asked for tie-dye ASMR. Is this what you want? The subtle whimperings of a 3-year-old. Anyway, welcome. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I'm going to put my gloves on before I forget. I've got a fun thing today. We are going to go through some custom orders, some custom aprons that I had a friend request. I don't take a lot of customs unless I know the person so that they understand exactly what they're getting into, because you're not going to get exactly what you have in your mind. But if you're looking for something inspired by something else, which is what we're going to do today, I have some pictures she sent me for inspiration. I will show you kind of my process of how I go about using pictures for inspiration for these things. So let's start by talking about what we did last week. So last week I did some dresses. Here's the first one we did. This one was Dragon Heart and Spanish Lavender. And you can see we did it in a geode. Turned out really pretty. This is a really pretty one. This one is XL. I've got this listed on my Etsy if you're interested in any of that. I do have it linked in the description if you would like to buy something. But if you want to learn how to do it, that's why we're here today, right? Here is Shibori that we did. This one's a size large. Turned out really pretty. It's pretty cool. It is Jade, Nightshade, or maybe Deep Space, and Coral. You can see here, this is a good example here of how far turquoise travels compared to how far reds and pinks travel. Reds and pinks do not travel. So there you go. There's a good explanation of what happens with those colors. All right, and then this one is pretty cool. I messed it up a little bit, but you live and you learn. This is the Mandala we did. This one's a size medium. These are 100% cotton. I got them from Dharma. You can kind of tell everything about. The mandala is rotated a little bit. So that's what you get with a handmade thing, right? And then here is the back. The back is so cool. I almost want to do it again with the front and the back being this cool stripe. Anyway, there you go. That's what we did. So, as I said, today is apron day. We're going to do some aprons. Let me switch to this view here. We're going to start with, here's my mess. I'm going to show you what we're going to start with. Hey, I need you to shut the door and I need you guys to share. Okay, we're going to start with this cool.
There we go, we got you.
She ran away with the pencil. Alright. So, I've got my first apron here. I'm trying to decide the fold I want to do for this. And what I think I've decided on is a geode. Let me get this out of the way a little bit. This is our next project, and then this will be our project after that. Okay, so this is what I did. I looked at this picture. And I saw a few colors that really stood out to me. The green stands out to me a lot. Oh, you know what? I'm going to get another color. I'm going to get better blue-green as well. Whoop. Do I have it in here? There it is. So, I know my colors pretty well. One thing you can do is you can go to the Dharma website and they have these swatches for you. But I know my colors pretty well. I can look at it and say, oh, that looks like a Kelly green. That looks like a better blue-green. This is like a Dances with Raisins kind of color right here. Maybe a maroon as well. I've got cobalt blue for the blues. And then eggplant for this. There's just like a tiny bit of eggplant, but I loved it. So I'm going to add some eggplant. And then I've got, of course, daffodil for that yellow. All right? So let's get going here. We're going to do a geode. Oh, wow. And we're making a mess over here. Let me grab my towel. If you've never done a geode with me, let's learn, shall we? Let's do a little geode, tie it up. I've got colors. Come here.
No one wants to scoop tie-dye, yes or no?
No.
Okay. Your mom's not doing this, she's not scooping the tie-dye.
I've had my daughter help me before, and now she thinks she can always help me. So that was my bad, because I allowed it. All right, so I'm gonna take my apron. It is soaking wet, which, let me wring it out a little bit more. I didn't put it in the spinner because I didn't have time. It's been quite the day. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way, everybody. Hope it's a good one. Whoop. All right, here is the apron. I got these on Amazon. I also have my storefront linked. I've got 2 categories on my storefront. One is for my dye supplies and one is for blanks. So they're sorted that way. If the blank is listed, I have personally tried it and I know without a doubt that it is 100% cotton. And if you've ever been a tie-dyer, you know that that is valuable information. Okay, so I just grabbed a random scrunch here and I'm gonna wrap it around. I'm gonna grab my sinew puller. If you're just joining us, this is what we're inspired by right here, this cool horse picture. So while I'm doing this, I'll tell you a little bit about these aprons and what she was inspired by. So she was in a cooking group. She came to one of my events I did. I host events every now and then where I let people tie their own stuff and teach them in person. And she came to that and she found this apron that she absolutely loved. And she was like, wait a second, I'm in a cooking group. They should also have an apron. So she asked them for their favorite pieces of art. And they each picked out, there's 3 of them, they picked out these 3 pieces of art. And that is what we are dyeing today, is we're inspired by their art photos. And I wish I could tell you the name of these pieces, the artist of these pieces. I have no idea. They were just sent to me. So maybe we could do a reverse image Google search or something. I'm starting a new nodule here on this geode. I wrap it around about 3 to 4 times and then I pull tight, and that is how I do a geode on these. One thing I'll say about the aprons is the fabric is really dense. So they, oh come on, the sinew lines aren't as pronounced, and it looks a lot like a scrunch with some random lines that go through it. So it doesn't look like a typical sinew, a typical geode on these aprons, but they're cool. They're cool and they have a cool effect, but they don't look like some of my other geodes. So here I've got just this letter organizer that's got holes in it, and I'm going to grab my magic tracks. Again, these letter organizers, the exact same ones I use, are listed on my storefront, and so are the magic tracks. But one awesome thing about tie-dyeing is a lot of this stuff you can thrift, or you might have around your house. For example, this cake pan. You could easily thrift a glass cake pan. You can find some magic tracks at thrift stores every now and then, or like on a Facebook marketplace. Sometimes people list them. So you don't have to pay full price for them. Although I will say sometimes they go on sale and you can get like a pack for like $20, which is a fantastic deal. Okay, so I'm gonna do dye under the ice. Set this right here. We're gonna start with cobalt blue. Okay. And I'm not gonna do a ton. Actually, I am gonna do it. The blue stands out to me the most. So I'm gonna do mostly blue, but all these colors will be involved. So I'm gonna do some blue right here. Okay, and then I'll add in the other colors here. So there's not a ton of eggplant, so I'm just gonna do like a tiny sprinkle of eggplant. This is what that looks like. Tiny bit of eggplant. There's also quite a bit of daffodil, so I'm gonna do a decent amount of that yellow, and I'm not gonna put it by what I just put that, because the purple, see how the purple's next to the yellow? That can make brown pretty fast, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna put the yellow away from the purple. Put a little over here. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of better blue-green. Put some right here. And then the last color I have is Kelly Green. And if you're here and you're not on a TV, I know that makes it difficult, but if you're somewhere you can type, say hello. I'd love to hear where you're from, what you're doing, what your level of tie-dye expertise is. If you're just a voyeur, that's normal too, because it's fun to watch tie-dye, so I don't blame you for that. Let me go grab some ice. Let me go get some ice. Are you making a mess? Alright. I am back. And I am here with some ice. Okay, you're gonna want a decent amount. Oh, uh-oh. What happened? Did my camera die? Let me switch it over here while I fix this battery issue. Should have switched my battery, everybody. The good news is we just finished up that one. So I'm gonna set it aside right there. And let's switch back to this view. Let's see if it'll work for me. Hey, there it is. Okay, so this is the one we just did. I'm gonna set this aside and I'm gonna save this so that next week I can show you the comparison of the final result to what it looks like. And I am making a complete mess right here. Next up, let's see here. Whoop, I got that really wet. Oop. Trying to get my towel. These towels I use for cleaning up stuff are failed projects. Eventually they turn like a blue, like a dark blue-green color. But this one wasn't so much a failed project as part of a I sometimes do tie-dye kit reviews, and I swatched the colors. This was a tulip kit. You can see that like is completely gone. There was a color right there. It's completely washed out. So this is what you get when you do tulip colors, just so you know. I mean, some of them are really vibrant and cool, and they're cool for kids' crafts, but if you're a professional tie-dyer, I highly suggest investing in some Procyon dyes. All right, there's my pep talk for you today. Okay, we are going to do electric blue and daffodil. I've decided I'm just going to do these two colors. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to do a little bit of cobalt as well because there's a little bit of a darker blue. And I feel like it's only normal for this photo. Obviously, we all know what this is. This is Starry Night by Van Gogh. It only makes sense that we do a swirl. Am I right? We've got to do a spiral for this. And ideally, if I can hack it, we're going to try to figure out how to do multiple spirals. I'm thinking we do like one big one that's got multiple blues, and then we've got one smaller one or two smaller ones that have the yellow. We'll see how it goes. All right. So I'm going to set those over here. I'm going to set this, I'll just put it right there so you can kind of still see it. And I can kind of still see it. Okay, here's really washed out, but I promise it's there. This is the top of the apron. Okay, I'm going to do a couple different spirals and we'll see if we can't make this work. I'm gonna grab some rubber bands because I think I'm gonna want those for this. Okay, so these spirals kind of go into each other. So I'm gonna kind of do two that kind of go opposite directions, and we'll see what that doesn't end up looking like. So I've got two spirals there, and then I'm gonna do, let me fan this out a little bit more. I'm gonna do one right here. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna do painter's tape. I was gonna do rubber bands, but rubber bands are gonna smash it up and I won't be able to see my circles. So I'm gonna do painter's tape so that it doesn't smash into itself. Painter's tape is my saving grace for spirals. If you feel like you keep doing spirals and they keep just smashing, that's probably why. All right. This is not sticking. Let me do this again. All right, once I get it in here, it should be okay. You turn my sixes to nines. My husband was playing that today and now it's stuck in my head. All right, I'm gonna be candid with you. I don't remember which spiral's which. Oopsie poopsie. So here's what we're gonna do. We've got one that's yellow, so I'm gonna do one yellow right here because that looks like a relatively small one. So I'm gonna do daffodil right here. And there's yellow throughout, so it's okay if it gets on some other areas. In fact, I might even purposely just kind of put some right there and a little bit right there. Okay, and then I'm going to do a lot of electric blue. Because this is all swirled up, it won't look like a line when I'm done, but it looks like a line right now. That's okay. I'm gonna do a little bit of this right here. Okay. And then I'm gonna do some cobalt. And I think, because I have the resources, I am going to add magic tracks around the outside of this. Whoopsie! Just so that it adds another level here, so I can add the ice to it. So let's do that. And I'm glad I thought of that after, because it would have been hard to put the dye on. It would have been hard to put the dye on with this around the edge, so that'll work. I'm gonna add some ice. Let me go get some more ice. BRB, folks. BRB. Sorry. I'll be right back, okay? Oh, I'll take those. I'll take my steps. Oh, no? Okay. All right. Sorry. My kid is being cute. My kryptonite is my children being adorable. They can get away with anything if they're cute. If they're yelling and screaming, I don't have as much patience. But if they're being really cute, they get away with a lot. All right. So this is what we did. We did a couple spirals, and then I added the dye over the ice. Oh, now she's mad. All right, I'm gonna set this aside. All right, last but not least, are you ready to see this one? This one stumped me, but I think I figured out what we're gonna do, and I think it's going to be beautiful. So I'm gonna set that aside, get this a little dry, because it was sopping wet. Okay. Here's our next inspo. this. Thought this was gorgeous. It's so pretty. The browns, I decided to go with Brazil nut for the browns, which also splits kind of gray. So there's a little bit of gray, so that'll be really good for the Brazil nut. I decided to do a little bit of chartreuse for this. This looks really, really like lime and yellow, so I'm worried about it turning out kind of like that. So I'm going to do a little bit of like bronze and amber waves I'm gonna add right here. So hopefully I'm just gonna do a little bit of chartreuse and it won't be really bright, and with the other colors it won't stand out too much. We shall see. What I decided I'm gonna do for this one is a tall, deep scrunch. And I have not done these since Christmas. Oh, sorry. My baskets were all stuck together. Here's how we do this. So I'm gonna set this over here. Okay. All right, let's see if I can find. Let's see here. I am looking for my fleece. So something you can do. Sorry, I really should have spun dry these, but that's okay. You live and you learn. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this over fleece, and the fleece is going to make peaks and valleys. So as the dye melts, the ice melts, the dye kind of flows, and it looks really, really pretty. So let me get my fleece. So, usually I do the fleece before I do the basket, and I don't know why I do that, because it makes more sense to do this. Well, does it? No. Okay, I'm gonna move the basket. Let's do it the way I always do it, so I don't mess it up. How about that? Okay, here's my fleece. I got this from Joanne, R.I.P. But if you can find scrap fleece anywhere, that's ideal. Like this was half a yard, so it was 50% off. I think I paid like $3. So you don't have to get anything fancy. All right, I'm gonna spread this out, and then I'm gonna add the peaks and valleys. So I'm gonna go whoop, whoop, whoop. Here. That is how I scrunch her up. And then I'm going to take, I wonder if my mic is picking up the screaming child in the background. Those are the things I'm wondering right now. Okay. This. And you're going to want a lot of magic tracks for TDS projects, because you've got a lot of fabric you're dealing with. You also are going to want a lot of ice, because you've got a lot of surface area. So, I'll do this. There we are. I'm going to tuck this up and under. Okay. So this is what it looks like. And then I grab my rack. I've got so much stuff on my counter. And let me put this here. I'm going to transfer. And the first time you do that, it's going to come completely undone, and that's normal, and you just go with it and you do it again, okay? Trust me, I've done it a million times. All right. Okay. So here's the other thing I do with these tall, deep scrunches is I put them on an incline. But I'm going to do the incline after I add the ice. So let me go get, I have a bag of ice, because like I said, I'm going to need a lot of ice for this one. And while I go, I'm going to set this right here. So if people are joining, they can see it, what it is we're doing. This is our inspo. right here. Oh, it's really washed out. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I've got my bagged ice here, and I am going to add it. All right. Grab, actually I'm gonna do this at the end. Okay, well, no, I'm gonna do it right now because no, okay. All right, let's add these colors. So I am going to do, what should I do? I think I'm gonna do a little bit of Brazil nut at the top, and then a little bit in the middle. Okay. And then I'm going to do a little bit of chartreuse right below this Brazil nut, and hopefully they will kind of mesh into each other and make it a little bit brownish. So it's not a big old bright pop. A big old bright pop of green. I'm gonna do some amber waves. I'm just now realizing I forgot to email my list. By the way, if you're interested in being added to a list where I email when I go live, just comment below and I will reach out to you and we can get you on my email list. All right, and then I'm gonna do bronze. Bronze. I wasn't originally gonna put bronze in this one, but I wanted a little more variation than just 3 colors. And I thought adding this would be a good mix. And there is no fabric over here. It looks like I didn't sprinkle any dye on because there's no fabric over there. All right, so now I'm gonna set this on an incline. So I'm gonna shove this, grab this big old tote, and very gently, so the ice doesn't all fall off, set it on an incline. There goes the ice. All right, there we have it, folks. Reminder, that is what I was worried about, but it's okay. This is what we were doing here. I think it's gonna be so cool. I never would like pick these colors, but I have a feeling this is gonna be really pretty and really understated. So anyway, all right, so I've got that, I've got this. I'm just gonna add these right here because I'm trying to do more time lapses. So I'll start a time lapse of this ice melting right there and right here. Ta-da! All right, let's switch views. Here's my face again. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. If you weren't here at the beginning, let me just run through really quick what we did last week. I know a lot of people come back because they want to know what we did last week, which is my reminder for you to come back next week, 5 p.m., so that you can see what these ended up looking like, okay? Here is the mandala we did last week. Turned out really pretty. This is Dragonheart and Phoenix Flame, both from Dharma. Here's the back. Really cool. Very nice, very nice. All right, and then this this one was a Shibori, and it was very thick. So it doesn't look like Shibori, it looks like geometric, kind of symmetrical, and it's cool, but it doesn't totally look like Shibori. So that's that one. And then we did Geode, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, my first thought when I pulled this out was, it's giving Barney, you know? The purple and the green. It looks a little bit like Barney, but that's okay, Barney's great. And if I didn't point that out, you probably wouldn't have thought of yours. Right? Okay, thank you for joining me. Join me again. I'm so grateful when you guys join. I love this community, so thanks for being with me. We'll talk to you next time.